Welcome to the channel, everyone. Well, working on this 80 Chevy Silverado chassis. Getting pretty excited because we're getting close to being able to put some wheels on this thing, drop it down and call it a rolling chassis, a completed rolling chassis. I got a bunch of little things to do today. I want to get my hubs, locking hubs in. I've got steering parts painted. I've got some brake hoses. I've got a steering stabilizer that I can put on after my steering goes on. I got my sway bar stuff painted, but not sure I'm going to be able to get that on today or not. But yeah, just a bunch of little things to try to get done, so I'm going to get to it. Okay guys, so let's get these hubs installed. Now I went with mile marker premium locking hubs for a couple of reasons. The price was good, and they have a stainless, polished stainless knob. I'll show you once I get it out here. But first thing you're gonna notice there's a sticker on this hub. It says, "These hubs should not be packed with grease. Too much grease will damage hubs." So I'm sure you guys have all seen the videos where the guy packs the whole thing full of grease, and that's not necessary, guys. You don't need to do that. Before you get this thing all greasy, I'll show you how pretty these are. Yeah, this is probably the main reason I got these. I think Warren makes a premium one, but it's like gold colored. I didn't really like that. But anyway, you gotta separate these hubs into two pieces to be able to install these. But first thing you gotta do is, there's a couple of original parts you're gonna need. You're gonna need your spring, and you're gonna need this, I don't know if it's a spring holder or forget what the book called it. But anyway, you see this has got a different shape to it. So you take this shape is supposed to go towards the wheel bearing. So you seat that all the way back in there. Then you got your spring, and you'll notice it's got a taper. It's bigger. It's bigger on one end. So the bigger end goes into the hub. That's what my book is telling me anyway. So you're going to put that in there like that. They send new snap rings. You actually got this one, and then you got one for your axle. They say you don't need to use that one, but I like to use it. It holds the axle. It doesn't let the axle move around so much. It holds the universal joint kind of in line with the ball joint, so you don't get a bunch of binding. But anyway, you're going to take this part, you just separated it, and this is going to go in here. So you're kind of trying to line up trying to get all the parts lined up in there, the axle and everything. And then you got to get this snap ring in the groove. Remember when you took it apart? I don't know if you took it apart or not, but you need to get that snap ring all the way in. All the way in, okay? So now, so in the instructions, they want you to do a little test to make sure you got clearance. So you put two of the bolts in here before you put the hub on, and they want you to see if you have a little bit of movement. You want a little bit of movement in that hub, pushing it, okay? So if you don't have any movement, that means your wheel bearings probably aren't adjusted right. So what you got to do is you got to take this off and readjust your wheel bearings so you have proper clearance. So mine moves just a little bit. So I can move on to my clip. Like I said, they say you don't really have to run this clip. But like I said, I like running it because it holds the axle. So you got to push the axle forward to be able to get this clip. And like I said, all it does, it just holds the axle. It just holds the axle from being able to go back inward, you know. Okay, so that's it really. You should be able to take your hub, bolt it on, and then go ahead and test it. But the thing I'm finding, with these hubs is there's the threads are messed up on some of these. So what I'm having to do is I got to tap. And I'm putting the bolts in here to find the ones that aren't threading in very good. And the ones that aren't threading in very good, you can see. See, that one don't thread in very good. I can already see this one. It's like when they machined it, they pushed the threads in or something. I don't exactly know what they did, and I'm not real happy because I feel like I shouldn't have to. Run a tap through these, being their brand new hubs. Should have done this on the bench. Forgot to do this before I started the video. Should have done this on the bench so I could blow this out. And you know what? I think I'm going to, off camera, I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to blow these threads out after I get done running my tap through here. You got to be careful, guys, because this is, that looks like aluminum. So you really got to be careful running a tap through them that you don't get your threads crossed. But like I said, this seems like a step that I shouldn't have to do with brand new hubs. But it is what it is, and that's, I either do this or I send them back, wait for new ones, and I'm done waiting. I'm going to install these. Okay, so now that I'm happy everything's all cleaned, my threads are good, take my outside of my hub. We're gonna get it lined up here, install the bolt. Install another bolt. You don't gotta go crazy tightening these down, guys. They're just really small little Allen bolts. They just gotta be snugged up. They actually send you this little wrench to tighten them up with. Okay, once you get all your little Allen bolts snugged up, you just want to check for operation. Make sure everything sounds right. We're gonna, that's free. We're gonna lock them in. And there we go, we got our axle turning. Unlock them. Probably got to back up to unlock it, looks like. But they're working good, guys. They work good and they look good. So I'm happy. Let's move on. Okay, so I was going to move on to the steering, but I just opened up my box and I've got the right steering parts. I don't have the right sleeve to connect these two. It's smaller. I don't know. I thought I ordered the right part. They don't have them parts labeled very well. So I don't even know what I got. Maybe I got the wrong part in the box. I've had that happen many times. But anyway, I'm just going to move on here, I guess. I think I'm going to do my brake lines. And these are just, these are Russell brake lines. They're braided stainless. Says they're street legal. They're actually for a 4-inch lift. I only have a 2.5 on this thing, so they're probably going to be a little long for what I have, but I'd rather have them longer than shorter. A funny thing on this truck, the brake lines are supposed to go to here. This is a factory brake line spot, and they actually, let me see if I can find my old lines and I'll show you. Okay, so here's one of the old lines on the truck. And they had this bracket right here. So that bracket usually is put on when you have like a 6-inch lift, because it moves this down here, I believe, onto this bolt here. So it moves your brake line down. So this, and actually on the rear one too, they have an extension. So I got a sneaky suspicion that this frame, this truck had a 6-inch lift on it. Now when I got it, it had factory leaf springs on the front, factory leaf springs on the back. The back ones were seized up, but they could have had a block in the back. I don't know. I just, like I said, I got a sneaky suspicion that this truck at one time had a 6-inch lift on it. Probably explains the cracks on the steering box there. But anyway, I'm going to open up this new brake lines. We'll see if we can't get these in place. Okay, so I got this open, and in the kit they send these washers, and they are, I believe they're aluminum. And I made the mistake of using them on one of my trucks. This won't see salt, but I put it on a truck that I drove in the wintertime, and the washer actually corroded and started leaking. So I'm gonna put copper ones, even though this ain't gonna see salt or anything. I'm gonna put copper because I feel like that's the better way to go. I've got this routed. Now they have a double nut for this, and this frame seems too thick to do a double nut. So I found a washer that we had. So I think that's what I'm gonna do there. I might actually paint this washer. Because I think it's probably gonna rust. It's just probably steel. Because it's not even a washer. It's like a machinery bushing or something. Anyway, it works. So I only have to have one nut on there, which I think it looks better. It's gonna work better. Okay guys, so I've run into an issue with the brake lines. I got the one end figured out that goes into the frame, but the other end is a different story. So this is the banjo bolt that goes into the factory calipers. Now I don't know what size that is, but when I look it up, I keep getting a metric 10. And 80, I think, was one of those kind of crossover years where they were starting to use some metric stuff. Well, those Willwood calipers have a 7/16 thread. So you can't use a factory banjo bolt. So I have these Dorman 7/16. They're the same length. As the factory bolts. But when you have 7/16, I don't know if you can pick that up or not, this one's bigger. So the new bolt's bigger. Well, the Russell brake lines that I have are for the factory banjo bolts, and they won't fit. So what do? Okay, so I could go out and buy. I think Willwood has their own brake lines. I've already got these ones. So what I plan to do is I'm going to drill these out, this block. And as long as I don't destroy the crimp or anything, I don't see why I can't do that. So that's what I'm going to do. The sealing surface is the copper washer. So the other surface doesn't matter. It's not going to seal that with that surface, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to drill these out. Well, here goes nothing. Drilling, I forget what size this is, but it's bigger. Just don't want to overheat it. Okay, so I think that might have been a 7/16 drill bit. Not positive. I couldn't really see much. But so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully, because I drilled it, there's a little bit of a ridge there. Carefully going to knock that down. I got to do that on the other side. Okay, so now that I got it smooth here, I'm gonna blow some air through it to make sure it's okay. So I blew some air through it. There's no steel in my line. I've got my block. The block smoothed out really good. I just touched it to get that sharp edge that come up as I drilled off. But anyway, I can see there's another little piece of steel that's on the, you probably ain't gonna be able to see it in there, but anyway, it's on the hole that the fluid goes, and I'm gonna take a little pick. I'm gonna knock that off, and then I'm gonna blow this out again. And we should be good to go. You can see this fits through the hole perfectly now. And like I said, the sealing surface isn't inside here. It's around the edge with those copper washers. So this should be all right. Should be good to go. Okay, so now I've got my modified brake line. I take a bolt. Got the copper washer, 7/16. I'm going to stick it through there. Another copper washer. And this goes into the Willwood brake caliper. That is 7/16. Thread. Not going to tighten that down right now. But anyway, you get the idea. I took a part that wasn't working. Had to modify it to make it work. Okay, so now I have a brake line that works caliper side and the frame side just like I want. So it took a little effort, a little modifying, but yeah, it's gonna work out. It'll work out real good, I think. Okay, so we're on the rear of the truck here. I've got the line kind of setting in place where it goes. It's gonna bolt to the factory bracket, and you got your hard line that comes up and goes into the frame. One thing I don't like about these Russell's brake lines is if you guys know, the factory lines have like a special shape that goes in here so it don't spin. I wish they would have used a factory factory type deal like that. I mean, they got bolts it's gonna bolt on, and it'll be secure, but I don't know, I just thought the factory's a little cleaner. Anyway, this piece here goes to a bracket on the rear end. I actually had to find it, and I realized I hadn't cleaned it up, so I had to sandblast it quick. It's pretty freshly painted, but it's going to go on right here to the bolt. This bolt right here, it's going to bolt on like this. Really clean look. I had to find a longer bolt for this. I actually had one. I was going to go to here. Now I got to find a shorter bolt for this hole. All these little parts I'm finding out I need. But anyway, that's going to go there. I ain't going to do it right now because I want this paint to get a little harder before I start wrenching on it. But this will bolt onto there. I'll show you once I get it done. I moved it here because I feel like this hose fits better right there. And there's all kinds of, should be all kinds of length. It's not at full droop right now, but it should be good. Then you got a line coming out here, line coming out there. It's going to go to the lines on the rear disc conversion. It used to go to drum brakes, but I got rear discs now, so I got to make some custom lines to go from here to the block. Okay, so I got my bracket bolted in place. You can see it's really nice looking, very factory looking. I got the line bolted to that. Now I need to connect these lines to the block there, and I got to do that with custom lines because this is a custom setup. I've got these stainless fittings that I'm going to be using, and I'll show you the line that I'm going to use. Okay, so here's what I'm using for line. 3/16 nickel copper. It's easy to work with and it won't corrode. To go with that, I actually got this stainless sleeving that that factory usually runs that on brake lines, so I have it. Let's make it look factory. This is stainless too, I believe. Along with the stainless line, I already showed you that, or stainless fittings. These stainless fittings are well worth it. The regular fittings, once they get brake fluid on them, they'll start to rust a little bit. That's fine for a street car, but I'm trying to go a little better than that. So yeah, I'm gonna cut me a length a little longer than I need. I gotta straighten it out because it's in a roll. I've got tools like this to help me bend what I need. Actually got another tool, a smaller one. But anyway, I'm gonna cut me a piece out, start working it, and we'll see what we come up with. Okay, so I got me a straight piece. Well, it's relatively straight. Straight piece to work with. So I'm going to just kind of set it up here. I'm going to kind of figure out where I need to do some bends. So that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my fittings. I actually got to trim this to length. gonna give myself probably a little extra just to play with here. You gotta remember, you gotta flare some of it. So, should be able to bend it a little more or something if I got a little extra length. So we gotta go to the flare tool now. Okay, so flare time. I always like to blow my line out. Just to make sure there's nothing in there. But anyway, make sure you put your fitting on before you stick it in the flare tool. I got a really old flare tool here. I really should get a newer one. But I don't know, it works. So I'm gonna put my tubing in the flare tool. I got my fitting for the 3/16 line. I just kind of measured it. We're gonna stick it in there. Like I said, this is really old. A really old tool, but it works. So smash the line. Take out the tool, or the one piece there. We're gonna run the flare in there. Run this down like so. Unscrew the tool, pop my piece out, and there's my flare, guys. Got my fitting on there. We're good to go. Actually, right now I'm going to take this over and test it, make sure I got what I need. Okay, so this is going to work really good. I just test fitted it one last time. And before I flare the other end, I've got to install my little protecting wire here. So don't forget to do that, otherwise you won't be able to get it on. So I got it installed. Now I got to get my wire clippers and I'll clip it off and we'll flare the other side. Okay, I got my wire protector installed. I'm going to install my fitting. You can squish that wire protector down a little bit if you need a little more room. And you can stretch it back out once you get your fitting made. But we're going to install it just like or do the flare just like I did the other end. Installing this in my tool. Tighten her down. Install my piece so I can smash the line. Pull my piece out there. Run my flare in there. Looks good. Get it out of my tool. And excellent. Let's go get it installed. So there it is, guys. That's why I like making these custom lines. Yeah, it takes some time to do them, but I mean, look at the results here. Very nice looking line that fits perfect. So yeah, I gotta do the other side now, which is a lot smaller line, but sometimes the smaller lines can be more complicated. But anyway, I gotta get to it. Okay, so there it is, line number 2, and it looks awesome. Love it. Oh, one thing, because these are hard lines and these are soft lines, I had to pop these off. They're just clipped on like a factory type line. I had to unclip them to put these lines in, because you can't move your hard line. But yeah, happy. I got another thing done, another thing finished on the truck here. I realized I got one more bolt I got to stick in there, but I got to get the right size. And then I've got to run the big brake line all the way to the front, but that's another time. Like I said, I really like making my own custom lines, because you can put them wherever you want them, exactly where you want them. It takes a little time, but you just get it in that kind of zen mode while you're just kind of working on it, and next thing you know, you got all your lines bent up. But anyway, that's gonna do it for the axle back here. And that's also gonna end the video for today, guys. I got a bunch more stuff I gotta do, so stay tuned. I'll be hopefully kicking some videos out as I get this stuff done. But yeah, it's really getting down there. Almost got a rolling chassis here, so stay tuned, guys. I'll see you in the next one.